Hi all, I'm making this video to show you the accessories and upgrades I've done on my CRF300L to make it a better off-road trail bike. So I don't use it for adventure riding, I don't use it for commuting, it's not a farm bike, I use it for trail riding, and as standard from Honda it comes very ill-equipped for trail riding, which is disappointing. So far I've done 337 kilometers on the bike, and that's been about 80% on trails and 20% on the road. It's all either on trails or riding to the trail. So my philosophy on how I've gone about the project and what I've bought and not bought is that I've only bought things that have been proven to be needed. So I haven't bought things because other people recommend them or other people say you should buy them. I bought them because I've actually taken the bike out on a trail and I've needed something and I haven't had it, so then I'll buy it. So for example, the first time I went out, the bike had no handguards. Of course my hands got all cut up and hit by branches and thorns, so that's how I knew I needed to buy handguards. So starting from kind of the front top to the rear bottom is the mirrors. I was always hitting my mirrors on branches or having to take my mirrors off to get under branches, and the solution is these double take. They use a ram arm with two balls. So the way I've got them set up now, I have this one on the left in the normal position, like when you're riding out to the trail, and this one on the right is how you would do it when you came across a low branch or just at the start of the trail. You just fold them in, fold them down, and they're out of the way. They're brilliant. And apparently they're much more crash resistant. Even if you have them up and you crash, they're less likely to break than the stock mirrors. Then we go on to the Acerbis handguards. You definitely need handguards. The only choice is the Acerbis, or the main other option is the Zeta. So these ones, I found them very fiddly to install. The problem is the space in front of the clutch lever, basically. There's only one angle I can have this clutch lever on where it's pullable. Any higher it would scrape along and be blocked by that black metal, any lower by the white plastic. If I was more handy, I'd probably find a way to put in a spacer so that I could space the installation out and have more room in front. Or I would try the Zeta option and see if they're any better. Unfortunately, the Honda handlebars come with a weight in the end, which is crazy, with a 6mm thread for a bolt or a screw, and these use a 10mm bolt or screw. So you can't install them with the standard bars. When I tried to, I damaged the grips, and that's why I've upgraded the grips to Renthals, and that's just a nice to have. It's not actually necessary. I did it because I damaged the stock grips. They maybe reduce vibrations a bit. It's hard to tell because I put them on at the same time as I changed the handlebars. So the handlebars are a Renthal 971 bend. They're a standard 7/8 of an inch, so all the standard handlebar accessories will fit on them. The other option, rather than upgrading the handlebars, would have been to fit the handguards into the standard handlebars with a 6mm screw, but people say that would be too thin and when you crashed it would break. So if they're right, then you need to upgrade the handlebars just to install the handguards. I would be tempted to just try the 6mm smaller screw. Next up, this phone holder. I don't know what brand it is. It's a kind of a no-name Chinese one that's just on the shelf at my local bike shop for very little cost, and it's really good. It copies the RAM thing with the arm and the two balls, and it just holds the phone in extremely tight. Obviously there's no charging. I have bought a a wireless charger from RAM, and I'm still waiting for it to come. It's taking forever. I guess the only issue is when I crashed, when I dropped the bike and the phone fell out, a couple of these little rubber these little rubber softeners also fell off. And luckily I was able to just find them on the trail, but it would be pretty easy for them to have gotten lost. It was just lucky that I could find them. Next up is the Enduristan Sandstorm 4X tank bag. Now I bought this because it's waterproof. The other option I considered that I wish I did buy was the Giant Loop Buck and Roll tank bag. I love the way Giant Loop describe that product. They call it the tank bag for people who don't like tank bags. And I don't like tank bags. Like I said, I found I really needed one in my real life riding, so I went for this one. One of the main reasons I chose this one is because I had already chosen and ordered the Enduristan saddlebags, and I thought, let's match them up. We'll go into those later. It does have a clear, waterproof plastic pouch that sits on top of this Velcro here. I'm not using it because I'm using the phone holder at the moment. The good thing about it is these elastic straps. It holds it in place very firm. It clicks in to the subframe and around the what I call the neck of the bike, and it's easier to take off and put on. It's covering the fuel tank, but I don't find that inconvenient because it's so easy to clip on and clip off, and the place you clip in just sits there on the bike ready to when you want to put it back on. I do find that when I stand up, and often I'm standing up on the road to stretch my legs and to let some air circulation happen, I do come into contact with this end of the saddlebag, which I wish I didn't. And that's why I say I like the idea of the Giant Loop Buck and Roll bag. It kind of goes across and it should be out of the way, although according to the pictures it actually leaves the tank uncovered, so it starts further down as well. But I think if I buy one, I would try to install it up as high as possible over the fuel cap, and then the whole bag would be out of my way if it was the Giant Loop Buck and Roll tank bag. Next up, I've got this SRC kickstand, and like I said, I only buy things if I've found I need them in real world using. So I put the kickstand down and it went straight into the ground and the bike couldn't stand up, so I got a wider one and it solves that problem. So I would say I recommend it. This one, it doesn't fit perfectly. It's custom made for this exact bike, but it just rattles. It rattles a bit, which is slightly disconcerting. So get that one or get another one, might fit better. So these saddlebags are Enduristan Blizzards. These are the large size. They come in small, medium, large, extra large. These are the large. The first thing I would do is I would recommend get the medium instead of the large, unless you have big capacity requirements for camping or for adventure biking. So I wouldn't recommend these for trail riding. I wish I got the Giant Loop Mojave saddlebag. They're much more minimalistic and simple. Again, I chose Enduristan because they're waterproof. But for me, these are more set up for adventure riding. The good thing is they fit on with no rack, but you can see like what a mess. I've only just got these today, so when I get real familiar with how I'm going to use them, I will attack them with scissors and remove a lot of these unnecessary straps and clicks and loops and pulleys. It's very overdone for what I need. They kind of, there's 3 sets of straps that attach onto the bike. There's these 2 in the very back that hook onto the fender, and they're nice and tight, very secure. These 2 that go over the seat, nice and tight, very secure. And then there's 2 that go down around where the pillion passenger foot pegs are, and those are nice and tight, very secure. But now there's nothing securing it from this corner, which means it's going to kind of rattle around. And if you imagine it like a kind of a 4 corners, it's secured at 3 corners. Well, it's kind of secured, along the top, that side and that side, but it's not secured here. So I certainly didn't notice it bouncing around when I was riding, but then I only just rid around the block. And you lose the way I've set it up, at least, you lose the foot pegs. And there's other places you could attach it to, but then there's other cons, and that was the place which is most appropriate for the size and shape of the bags, and you lose the foot peg there. I probably will try to move the whole thing back. The problem is, well, there's a few problems. You see on this side you can slide it back and it would still be supported by the exhaust just further along. One other concern is that that's going to get very hot, by the way. But on this side it's on the toolbox, which, by the way, you lose access to the toolbox, and if I moved the whole thing's back a bit, then there's nothing there. It wouldn't be pushing against anything. So I could move it back a little bit, but not much. And I would also lose the helmet clip, and I would be moving the bags back past the rear axle, so I'd be putting weight I'll be putting weight further back than the rear axle. Then I've got this license plate and registration slip holder, which I would not recommend because it's letting moisture into the slip, and that's going to get moldy and be destroyed, so that's no good. Now I've got a few things which I've had to buy only for trail riding, which I found I needed when trail riding, so to me they are motorcycle accessories, though they don't come from motorcycle shops. And this was actually the reason I got the saddlebags, was to hold these few things. This is the folding shovel from Decathlon. It's essentially a camping product. The only problem with it is it's very heavy, but I have found I needed it to dig my way out of a problem here in the muddy, clayey Thai trails. Then I've got the Ucreative Winch cable. You can use that because I mostly ride on my own, and you can attach one end to the bike and one end to a tree, and put a stick in the middle of it, twist the stick around it. As you twist the stick, you're pulling both ends tighter, so your anchor stays still and your bike moves towards you. You should watch Fortnine's video about that. And I've got a folding handsaw. I got the Gomboy, so that lets me cut through branches in a few minutes, whereas without it I had to spend hours rearranging a fallen tree just to ride on. And the other thing you might have noticed, which is the only thing I'm talking about which is purely aesthetic, is that I've removed all the stickers, and I think it looks way better for it. This is a matter of opinion, and actually you could see it much better without the luggage, because you see it's just solid blocks of red, white and black. The luggage kind of break that up, but still I think it looks much better without the stickers. Then of course there's the tires. People like to say these tires are rubbish, they're no good. I've actually found them good except in wet and mud. I did find the limit of the tires trying to go up a really steep single in wet and muddy conditions, although I later realized I had really found the limit of my own riding ability. In any case, I've got the Metzeler MC360 mid-softs, and they're one of only 2 options if you want to get the same size as the original stock tires, in terms of getting one series, matching the front and back, and getting the same size. You can only choose between the Metzeler MC360 midsofts and the IRC M5B Evo soft terrain. Like I said, I I went back to that steep single on a slightly less wet and muddy day, but more importantly, I displayed much better riding technique, and I did get up it. So for now, I've kept these tires on. Of course, I've got the better tires waiting when ready and when I need them. A few other saver rides I will probably need would be, that everyone says I should get, would be an extra inner tube, and whatever you need for the tire repair or for the tube replacement when you get a flat. Also a front skid plate and a first aid kit. But I'm only buying things as I have found that I need them in real life riding. So if you count those 3 things, though, that makes about 15 accessories or upgrades that you have to do just for your bike to be trail ready. Personally, I would rather if Honda made a trail ready version. I'll be happy to pay more for it. So I think the lineup should be, this is the basic base cheap model, the CRF300L. Then you can have a more adventure orientated version, which would be the CRF300 Rally, which does exist. Then you should have a real trail riding off-road enduro orientated version, which is what I'm kind of creating here. And a lot of people in the trail riding community, they actually enjoy the tinkering, and they enjoy this process of getting these accessories and installing them and changing them. But I don't. I would rather just buy it from Honda ready to hit the trails. But I would still want it to be like this bike is, with a low enough seat for a short guy like me, and with a reasonable kind of service intervals. So that bike doesn't exist. Anyway, I want to shout out to some people who gave me good advice or made some useful content. YouTubers, Fort9, Woodsman Adventures, Peak Motorcycles, and the Thumper Talk forum. Alright, thanks guys. Ciao.